Well, going back, I'd assume that what probably brought you down into Bannock in this area was your dad's fruit business. Is that what brought you down here?
I usually fish up to Big Hole, but I never, for so many years, I never came back to all the route my dad took, and I've taken my grandson over a lot of the places at the old times. I'll bring in a lot of memories. And I'm trying to cover some of that stuff that I usually forget to do when I come up here.
Well, tell me, when you were down here, was Bannock still inhabited?
Yes, it had families, but mostly old people. I don't remember children, and I think the people with families left. It had started closed. There was a few old miners working around in the hills, but there seemed to me an awful lot of widows and old people there. I would guess in 1932 there was probably 30 to 40 people living here at all, totally. And most of them old retired people. They were just living out there. A lot of them probably couldn't afford to go find a place to live and all that.
Did you ever talk to any of them?
Well, we talked a lot, but I don't remember names, and most of the conversation was, just like what anybody else said.
Well, when you say it was old people here, was it mostly women, or was it...
Mostly women, yeah. And for some reason, that's what I remember, but then we dealt with the women more for selling the fruit. The men didn't buy the fruit for the house, and that's why we dealt with the women here. But I don't even remember seeing many men in town at that time. But I do remember them leaning on the fences, talking to each other over the fences. And that's what I mentioned in there, that I didn't remember that much picket. You don't lean on picket fences, but these fences were the kind you leaned on. There's some further down the street, but it seemed like a lot more fences and people just leaning on that. And I don't know why. I don't recall all the pickets, unless they were put up later, but I don't know. But there was quite a few miners roaming the hills around. There was a lot of activity yet. Everybody thought they was going to find a little more or something. But that's about all my memories of it were.
Well, did you ever, did these people buy a lot of fruit from you, or is it just a little bit?
Bannock was the end of the line, and they took the remains, and a lot of fruit was gone by then. But this truck would haul, it was a bed about 14 foot long, 4 foot high sides, and it was loaded full, leaving Butte, and we'd sold 99% of it before we got back to Butte. But Bannock was the last stop, and Argenta, which down the road a ways, that had some people in there, and we used to stop in there. This was weekly trips, and people depended on this for a lot of that fruit. Vegetables, potatoes, everything.
So you really were just selling to the people in Bannock individually?
Yes. And there were certain ranchers all through the Big Hole he'd stop, but he didn't peddle too much around Wisdom because he supplied Wisdom Mercantile with their fruit and vegetables. That was Wisdom Mercantile was a busy main store at that time, and he'd buy, he'd unload about a third of his load at the Mercantile. But there's a lot of people in the valley I know names that I'll remember him yet. That Elsa's and the I used to work for the Bacons and Topes haying in the summertime, get away from the mines. But even before I worked in the mines, I worked on these ranches, and the fishing was totally different. I don't know how many people remember the types of fish in this country, but these eastern brook are brought in intruders. When I fished, going up to Wisdom, I used to fish Lamarche Creek with a fish trap and those different streams. And right off the road, I'd go down, and I used to love to catch grayling and native trout. This was even back when I was 7 and 8. I remember fishing those creeks. But I remember the most about, I worked at Bacon's Ranch in the corner of the valley up behind the big old battlefield. And the Johnson Creek in Bender was one we went for years. I have pictures of the old Maybe Ranch, the old cabin that the Bacons started at. And we'd fish that stream and we'd catch native trout. It was a corner of the valley. And pretty soon Eastern Brook started moving them out. Eastern Brook spawned in the fall, October 15th about. And the native and those native always spawned early in the spring. And what happened was these Eastern Brooks started moving in, and they'd be right behind the native when they were laying their eggs. And they'd gobble up these eggs, they'd root right through there and eat them. And it was a different story when the Eastern Brook spawned. The native were up somewhere upstream, they weren't in the spawning, the native went after their eggs. But that was why I think the biggest reason the Eastern Brook drove some natives out of Montana, that part of Montana. Well, anyway, we'd fish, wife and I would fish, and we'd say, how many native? And in way back 60, 50 years ago, we'd get just a sprinkling of Eastern Brook, but we were getting mostly native up on Johnson Creek. And each year, more Eastern Brook, less native. And it got to be kind of a celebration. We catch the original native. We knew they were rainbow or not. These were real original native. And we'd say, hey, we caught a native today. And the last native we caught was 10, 12 years ago. The last native. And they talk about, people think that these fish are native trout. And even on the Beaverhead River, beautiful trout, but they're not native. The only native I run across, those are planted rainbow and beautiful fish, but a lot of people don't even know what a native is. And grayling are native to this country, and grayling are a wonderful fish. I used to love to catch them. Real game fish. You could take a grasshopper and catch all you want. There's nothing flat.
When you were a boy fishing, what kind of bait did you use?
I fished mainly with spinners. I didn't even want to fool with worms. The fishing was too good to fool with worms. Or I mentioned grasshoppers for grayling. seemed to be best. But basically, it was spinners, and the fish were so easy to catch. That you catch all you want with spinners. It was cleaner than worms. And a lot of the parts of this country, you have to use spinners in the spring, and in the fall you got to change. But this country was so good fishing that you use a spinner any time of year. And something else that disappeared is a guy in Anaconda. This is a lot of years ago. He was fishing in the Big Hole, and he had what they call an airplane spinner, brass, and it would flutter up and down in the water and glitter and throw little sparkles all around. And he caught fish like crazy with it. And I used airplane spinners for 30 years, and pretty soon you can't buy them now. Isn't that strange? They were a popular hook at that time. Now it's those other types of spinners.
Did you have a favorite fish that you like to catch?
Yeah, my favorite was grayling and native, naturally. But I'll tell you, there's a difference in the native and Eastern Brook. People love the looks of Eastern Brook and they think they're great, but you put native in your bag and they'd stay hard, firm. And Eastern Brook, they'd get slimy a little bit. Eastern Brook would soften and get very slimy in a fishing bag if you didn't have a lot of grass and whatever to keep them. So natives was naturally it was a better, firmer eating fish, whiter meat. And it's kind of a shame that they're gone. There's places you can get them, I suppose, but not in the Big Hole.
Well, did you eat a lot of fish?
Yes, I had fish for eat maybe a breakfast, exciting breakfast, having trout, and a dinner, and then maybe one more meal. But 3 meals was the limit on a fishing trip. Pretty soon you get a little tired, and try to keep some on ice, and we get dry ice and Butte, try to carry them back to California.
Did you do your own cooking?
Yeah.
How did you, fix them?
We just tried.
Lard. What kind did you have? Kind of a side dish with that?
No, it was some vegetables, potatoes. So long as I remembered cooking, we were never fancy eaters. When you're out in the mountains, you only take the potatoes and try to bring a head of lettuce and so forth. That's all. But this, if you could have some hamburger or steak during the different times out, you'd have the grease to fry the fish.
Oh, I'm a bit curious. I'd like to go back a little bit.